South America? Well, that's where I'm standing right now. I'm at the southernmost point you can be and still be on the Earth. I'm at the South Pole, Antarctica. Now that's south.
3, 2, 1.
Contact is the secret, is the moment. When everything happens, contact is the answer, is the reason that everything happens. Contact. Let's make contact.
Antarctica is a continent, the size of United States and Mexico. There's a lot of snow and ice here, but not many people. Nobody lives in Antarctica. The few people who are in Antarctica are scientists. They're doing research, and they're here from all over the world. Japan, France, Belgium, Germany, and the United States. And they're trying to discover more about this place, the last continent.
Antarctica. Getting there. I'm on a jet that's taking me almost halfway around the world. My final destination, McMurdo Station, Antarctica, the bottom of the Earth. To get there, we go through New Zealand. We leave New York City and head west across the United States. This part of the flight takes 6 hours. We keep heading west, high over the Pacific Ocean. We've been in the air now for over 12 hours, and we're 6,000 miles from New York. It's dawn, and I can see the sun just coming up. The plane I'm on is a 747, one of the largest in the world. There are 2 pilots, and I have a chance to visit them in the cockpit. What's surprising is that no one seems to be flying the plane. In fact, the 747 is on autopilot. A computer is guiding it. But the crew is always checking to make sure that the plane is on course, going the right speed, and flying at the right altitude or height. We're now approaching a small island in the Pacific Ocean called Tahiti. It's over 7,000 miles from New York, and we've been flying for 14 hours. Some people are getting off here. Tahiti is a warm tropical island, a great place for a vacation. But I'm not dressed for it. Where I'm going is a lot colder. Still, it's nice to get off the plane and stretch for a few minutes. After refueling, we'll be back in the air. Our next stop takes us farther south. We're on our way to New Zealand, the last stop before Antarctica. In all, I will have traveled over 10,000 miles and spent 22 hours, almost a full day, on a plane. While some people are up and about, I'm not. New Zealand is a beautiful country in the South Pacific. It's a lush green place with a mild climate and only about 2,500 miles from Antarctica. If you're on your way to a United States base in Antarctica, you have to stop here to get outfitted with special clothing. I'm in Christchurch, New Zealand, the last step before I get on the plane to Antarctica. All this is my wardrobe.
ready for Antarctica.
All of these people are either scientists or support staff waiting to board the plane to Antarctica.
We're going down to Antarctica from England to look for very high-energy gamma rays from the supernova, which is a star that exploded in February in the Large Magellanic Clouds.
I'm going to Antarctica with the U.S. Navy. I'm in Antarctic Development Squadron 6, which provides the transportation all over Antarctica, including to the South Pole.
G'day, I'm a New Zealander. We're going down to Antarctica to put radio transmitters on penguins so we can track where they move out at sea.
I work with a group of scientists who collect meteorites out on the polar ice cap.
Hi, I'm a mountaineer and I'm going down as part of a safety supervisor's job looking after all these scientists when they're down there.
We're going from New Zealand down to McMurdo to do a survival course on the ice.
Our final leg of the trip will be on a C-141, an Air Force transport plane. It's big, noisy, and no windows. But we do get a boxed lunch.
Mommy giving you lunch. Thank you. I'll fit your milk money into your shirt. Okay, thank you.
A C-141 military transport plane. Not meant for passengers, it's meant for cargo. The trip's gonna be about 5 hours and it's pretty noisy, so we got our earplugs. I think we're about ready to take off.
Leaving Christchurch, we head almost due south to Antarctica, and we'll land at McMurdo Station, the main U.S. base on the continent. Another long flight, but this plane's a little different from a 747. I go up front to meet the crew. Navigator, engineer, pilot, and co-pilot.
How long till we get there?
Well, it'll be about 2.5 hours. Right now we're about, about almost 1,000 miles away.
All right, so we're about halfway there?
A little over, yes.
What's the weather like there?
Right now it's just a fairly clear day, a few scattered clouds, and temperature's about 16 degrees Fahrenheit with light winds. Very nice day for the Antarctic.
16 degrees sounds cold, but I guess for Antarctica that's pretty good weather.
That's real warm weather. It's their springtime.
How long have you been flying down to Antarctica?
We only get to do this normally about once in our lifetime, and we've been down in New Zealand for about 2 weeks. This is our 5th trip down to Antarctica. We'll be going home after this trip.
Co-pilot Nav, here's your LNAC air rep, and be advised the PSR is the same as pre-flight 0006 Zulu. It's about a half hour from this time.
Okay, no change. Thanks a lot.
Carl, what's point 00006 and what's Zulu?
What we have to fly by is called Zulu time. Since we cross so many time zones during the course of a flight, we can't constantly be changing our watches, so we set all of our times to Greenwich Mean Time or Zulu time, which is the time that it currently is in Greenwich, England, and then everyone throughout the world flies on that same time.
Oh.
The 0006 is a Zulu time at which we had to make our decision to either continue ahead or to turn around and go back.
That time is called the point of safe return?
That's correct. Once we've gone past that point, we're committed to going on into McMurdo, and regardless of what the weather is, we have no alternative but to try to land there.
Why, because you don't have enough fuel to get back?
That's correct.
Have you made it down there all the time you went?
We had one of the missions that we had to turn around when we got to the point of safe return. The winds were out of limits for us, so we would not have been able to land on the ice runway and then keep the aircraft moving straight down the runway, so we had to abort and go back to Christchurch.
Wow, that must be really disappointing.
Well, it's disappointing a little bit, but by the same token, it's a good feeling to know that you can still go back home instead of having to go down there and have to land in conditions that are unsafe.
I'm having a great time up in the cockpit, but for some, this is just a long, tiring trip.
Mac weather, ice 25 on 13 upper, requesting the 00 Zulu observation.
Ice 25, McMurdo weather.
Mac weather, ice 25, go ahead, sir, ready to copy.
Roger, forecast weather, McMurdo, time 0000 Zulu, 3,000 scattered. Visibility 40 kilometers. Temperature -11. Wind grid 250. 15 knots. Altimeter 2880. Good. How copy?
Ice 25 copies all, sir, and safe forecast winds.
Our mission is called Ice 25. It may sound like they're talking gibberish, but the information being transmitted tells the pilots the latest weather conditions, so they can decide whether it's safe to continue to McMurdo.
Intermittent conditions, sir. Are we still looking at 250 at 12?
That's correct. That'll be an intermittent condition expected to last approximately 20 minutes.
Ice 25 copies all, sir, and we'll give you our decision in just a moment. Okay, pilot, based on the winds of 250 at 12, we're within limits. What would be your input as far as going ahead and pressing on or returning back?
I'd go ahead and go in.
Engineer?
Let's go for it.
Navigator?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go for it.
Max center, ice 25 on 13 upper.
Max center, go ahead.
Roger, ice 25 has reached our PSR and we have decided to continue for McMurdo. Do you copy continue for McMurdo?
Max center copies, ice 25 proceeding to McMurdo, thank you.
Ice 25. We are committed, crew.
At last, out the window, I can see Antarctica. More snow and ice than I've ever seen. Touches of gray and blue that are water. Spots of brown that are land. But mostly just an endless white field, barren and beautiful.
Deborah, if you look out here, you'll see the valley. There's a valley, and down inside of it, you can see what looks like a river of ice. That's a glacier that's snow-covered, and they all flow down into the ocean here.
Oh yeah, it's Nagini.
The airstrip is about 2 miles from McMurdo Station, the largest base in Antarctica. McMurdo is the United States headquarters at the bottom of the world. It's very much like a small town. There are places to eat, sleep, and work. During the summer, almost 2,000 people live and work in McMurdo. But during the dark winter, the population drops to under 200. Because the ground is frozen solid, everything here is built above ground, including pipes for fuel and electrical wiring. And none of the buildings have basements. McMurdo is growing as more and more scientists come to this frozen continent to do research. Not all of them stay at McMurdo. Some go to other base camps in Antarctica. But while I'm here, McMurdo will be my home base.
When you think of Antarctica, what do you think of? Polar bears? Igloos? Well, that's what I used to think. But I was wrong. Polar bears and igloos are in the Arctic, the North Pole. Antarctica is the South Pole. The two poles are at opposite ends of the Earth. In fact, here in Antarctica, the bottom of the world, I am as far from the Arctic, the top of the world, as I can be.
If it's the North Pole, it's Arctic. If it's the South Pole, Antarctic. Both poles have ice and snow, but a few things you should know. Polar bears and igloos, the Arctic. Seals and walruses, the Arctic. Owls and caribou live in the Arctic too. If you think it's cold in the Arctic, you're in for a surprise. It is cold in the Arctic, but the Antarctic's even colder. Seals and penguins, Antarctic, not much else. Antarctic, some scientists work there, but no one calls it home. If it's the North Pole, it's Arctic. If it's the South Pole, Antarctic. If it's the North Pole, it's Arctic. If it's the South Pole, Antarctic. Where can you find the wingless fly? The Antarctic.
Antarctica has the most hostile climate on Earth, a barren land where there's little life. It's the world's coldest continent. The coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth was recorded here, 127 degrees below zero. Antarctica is also the world's windiest continent. Winds often blow harder than hurricane force. And although there's plenty of ice and snow on the ground, Antarctica gets very little new snowfall each year. In fact, it's the biggest desert in the world, even bigger than the Sahara. This is a continent that has no trees, no cities, no big land animals. Most of Antarctica is covered by ice and snow, but a few places are rocky. Hidden away among the rocks, there is life. Moss and lichen grow, and amid these plants are microscopic wingless flies and these tiny rock mites. That's all there is for life on land. If you want to find bigger animals in this harsh world, you have to look elsewhere, to where the ice meets the sea.
Where the ocean meets the snow, that's the place you call home. You're living on the edge. Where the water meets the ice, that's the place you spend your life. You're living on the edge. Antarctica, it's hard to survive in, but the ocean's a place to stay alive in. Just dive in. Lots of seals and penguins who live on land in water too are living on the edge. They're living on the edge. Living on the edge.
It took me over 3 days to get from New York to Antarctica, and I traveled over 12,000 miles. I had to go to Tahiti, down to New Zealand, where I was outfitted with special clothing.
Roger, Ice 25 has reached our PSR and we have decided to continue for McMurdo. Do you copy? Continue for McMurdo.
And finally, all the way down to Antarctica. In Antarctica, it's light 24 hours a day during the summer. That's why I was able to visit emperor penguins at 11 o'clock at night. They're among the few animals that have adapted well to this harsh climate. "321 Contact" is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
This show is made by the Big Noggins at CTW.
You know, the Children's Television Workshop.
Hi, I'm Deborah Shapiro from 321 Contact, and I'm about to do something amazing. I'm about to walk around the world. You don't believe me? Well, watch. You see? That didn't take long. I'm at the South Pole, the very bottom of the Earth.
Contact is the secret, is the moment when everything happens. Contact is the answer, is the reason that everything happens. Contact. Let's make contact. Three, two, one. Contact.
Antarctica, getting around. We fly over vast fields of ice, a barren landscape. With Mount Erebus, a still active volcano, behind us, we approach our target. Sitting isolated on rough volcanic rock is a small wooden hut. There is little snow here, and the winds are blocked by the surrounding hills. This protected spot is only a quarter mile from the sea, but almost 1,000 miles from the South Pole. 15 men made this place home for a dark winter long ago. What they left behind reminds us of their experience. This isn't a museum, but everything here has been preserved by the cold. The men who lived here had to bring enough food to last over a year. Some of it still lines the shelves. Cans of cocoa, fish, and other foods. The cooking stove was the only source of heat for these men.
Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. You knew that, right? Well, it wasn't till another 400 years, 1911, that someone made it to the South Pole. It was tough enough for me to get there. It took 30 hours of flying over 4 days. Well, 75 years ago, the trip took months. They had to travel by dog sled or on skis or walk. It took a lot of courage and a sense of determination and adventure to even attempt the trip.
This hut was home to a British expedition led by Ernest Shackleton. He came here in 1908 and used it as the starting point for his journey to the South Pole. They left behind this hut and everything around it. Kennels for their dogs, bales of hay for their horses, corn for them too, and food for the expedition, still good after all these years out in nature's freezer. Shackleton and his men never reached the South Pole. Only 97 miles away from their goal, running desperately low on food, they were forced to turn back and struggle 700 miles to the safety of this hut. Later, Shackleton led another expedition. This time he wanted to be the first to cross the entire continent of Antarctica. Before he could reach land, his ship became trapped in the floating pack ice. His crew struggled to free the boat. They were unsuccessful. After 10 months of drifting in the ice, they had to abandon ship and watch helplessly as the force of the ice crushed their vessel, the Endurance. Shackleton and his men had to turn back. They traveled 500 miles over broken pack ice and another 800 miles in rescue boats on treacherous seas. But throughout their ordeal, not one man was lost. 2 other Antarctic explorers engaged in a race to the South Pole: Roald Amundsen from Norway and Robert Scott from Great Britain. Each chose a different route and wanted to be the first to reach the South Pole. Amundsen was well prepared. He had spent years training with Eskimos in the Arctic. He learned all he could about polar travel. Scott, on the other hand, relied on unproven machinery and animals. His tractors quickly broke down. And although he had brought 23 sled dogs, none of his men knew how to drive them. He was forced to rely on Siberian ponies. Amundsen carefully planned his expedition. He and his men became experts at driving sled dogs and surviving in extreme conditions. On October 19, 1911, the Norwegian explorer and his 4 companions left their base camp for the bottom of the world. Scott left his base camp 2 weeks later, and a month into his trip, found that his horses could not survive difficult travel in the Antarctic. All the horses died. Imagine walking 1,600 miles in sub-freezing temperatures. Imagine camping in howling winds on the ice and snow, trying to keep warm, to keep going. That's what Scott and his 4 companions tried to do. But Amundsen and his men beat Scott to the South Pole. Amundsen arrived on December 14th, 1911. After putting up a tent and the Norwegian flag, he and his men left the pole and headed back to their base camp. Still pressing on, the British explorers arrived at the pole less than a month later, only to find the Norwegian flag already flying. Scott and his countrymen were disappointed and exhausted. On their return, with no food left and no strength to continue, they died less than 11 miles from a supply station. 15 years later, the modern era of polar exploration was ushered in by Admiral Richard E. Byrd from the United States. In 1929, he was the first to fly over the South Pole. He tied a small American flag to a rock and dropped it over the pole. He then returned to his base camp. Byrd had with him modern machinery that would allow future polar explorers to be in touch with the rest of the world. The key instrument was the two-way radio. Until the 1950s, only a handful of people ever set foot on Antarctica. Since then, thousands of scientists have come to study this vast unknown continent.
Antarctica is almost entirely covered by ice. So in order to travel around, you have to use a plane or a helicopter or a land vehicle. And sometimes you have to walk across the ice. But you have to be careful because there are these big cracks in the ice called crevices, which can be hundreds of feet deep. And if you fall into one, you need to know how to climb out. So I'm going to practice with Lynn Bowering from New Zealand climbing out of crevices. But before I can climb out, I've got to climb into one first. Here I go, Lynn.
Okay.
Whoop!
As I descend into the crevasse, Lynn anchors my rope into the snow so I can't fall to the bottom, 70 feet away. Once she's secured the rope, she attaches herself to it and comes to check on me.
How's it going down there?
Great, Lynn.
Hey, I've tied the rope off. You can prosic up now.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
For safety, whenever you're walking on the ice, you're connected to another person by a rope. If you fall into a crevasse, your partner can stop your fall, and you can climb out.
How's it going?
Okay. I get it.
It's looking really good.
Ah.
Hey, you gotta make sure you take all your weight off the prosic loop that you're trying to move.
Okay. It's caught in the summer.
The way you climb out of a crevasse is called prosicking. You use two small rope loops tied onto the big rope. One small loop is attached to your waist. The other goes around your foot. Prosicking isn't easy. It's a slow process.
Up we go.
You've got the system really well worked out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Getting the hang of it. The hang of it, get it?
I get it, I get it.
Okay.
You slide the foot loop up the rope and stand in it. Then you slide the waist loop up the rope and sit. Then it's back to sliding the foot loop. It's a process of sitting and standing and using your legs to push yourself up the crevasse.
Trying to get it up higher.
If you can loosen the knot off with your hand before you move it up, it'll move a lot more easily.
Slide knot.
Make sure the prosic's on your foot too. It's just slid up around your ankle.
Okay. Yeah, it's a trade-off. If I want to push it up high enough, I have to keep re-putting it on.
Learning how to get out of a crevasse is part of a survival course that all visitors to Antarctica have to take. Crevasses are dangerous. They're usually hard to see because they're covered by a thin layer of snow and ice. People fall into them. So do tractors and even planes. So what I'm doing isn't a game. It's part of working and surviving in Antarctica.
You can see it's a better idea not to actually fall into crevasses now, eh?
Yeah. Gonna be really careful walking around. It's fun, though.
Doing really well.
I'm almost there.
It's a wee bit of a problem on the flatter stuff. The Prusik loop falls off your boot a wee bit.
Okay. There we go.
That looks pretty good.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm in the rope here.
That'll be okay.
It'll be okay?
Yep, that'll be fine. You're standing on the Prusik, not on the rope. Good. Okay.
Should I do it again?
Yeah. Do it just once more.
Make it a good one.
Okay, right up to the waist one. Great. Oh, bit of stretch in the rope.
All right.
Okay. Coming over the edge sometimes is the hardest part.
All right.
So if you can grab onto the end of the ice axe and then just sort of flip your legs up and around.
No problem.
Yay! You did it!
Yes. All right.
3, 2, 1, contact! We'll be right back on Noggin. Noggin.
Nogginoid.
Digital.
Sesame Street has been brought to you by the letter O more than 210 times.
Oh.
What would happen if Noggin asked Jared, a wheelchair basketball champ, to show Jake what it's like to live his life? Find out next Monday in A Walk in Your Shoes. There are no scripts, no actors, just real people and real-life stories. Check out the Switchies online journals at Noggin.com, and while you're there, take the Walk Challenge. A Walk in Your Shoes, made by Noggin for you. Next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on Noggin.
Okay, here's the rest of 3, 2, 1, contact on Noggin. Oh yeah, it's Noggin-y.
Getting around Antarctica today is a lot easier and faster than it was during the early days of exploration.
Okay, crew ready to roll?
We take off from an ice runway. Our plane is specially equipped with skis.
Gear up. How's it looking? Pretty good. Okay. Okay, shoot up. And flaps in.
We're on our way to the South Pole. Our route follows earlier explorers like Shackleton and Scott. We leave McMurdo, fly south over the Ross Ice Shelf, a permanent 300-foot layer of ice covering part of the Ross Sea. Head up the Beardmore Glacier, a wide river of slow-moving ice that feeds the Ross Ice Shelf. Pass over the Transantarctic Mountains to the Polar Plateau, home of the South Pole.
Debbie, what you're seeing here is the end of the Transantarctics on the west side of the mountains. This is where they end. On this side is the Ross Ice Shelf. It's the flat ice you see down there. On the opposite side is the Polar Plateau. What we're going to be doing is flying up what is called an
Commander Rector and I have a lot to talk about as we fly over an impressive landscape.
What are we flying over now? Is this ice over water?
No, this is ice that's several hundred feet thick, and it's grounded. It's on the ground. This is called an ice shelf.
Several hundred feet?
In some cases, thousands of feet. For example, let's see. We are at about 800 feet over the ground right now, but our elevation above sea level is about 5,000 feet. As we work our way through the mountains, we'll end up at an elevation of 10,000 feet over sea level, but we'll be the same 500 or 800 feet over the ground.
So the South Pole is really very high.
9,300 feet mean sea level altitude, and that's about 9,000 feet of ice, and about 300 feet of land.
That means that most valleys between the mountains are filled with ice, almost all the way up to the mountaintops. And where it's flat, there's still a lot of ice covering the ground. The snow and ice have been collecting here for millions of years. It doesn't melt away.
Now we're getting close enough here to where you can see the size of some of the crevasses. It's not a place you want to put an airplane. You can see, if you look out to the side, you see where it looks like little paths of snow?
Yeah, it looks like ski trails.
Okay, those are crevasses that are bridged over with snow.
That dark ridge in front of us, is that a bunch of crevasses?
Right, that's a crevasse field, and that's the center of the glacier where the ice is moving the fastest. You notice out to the sides it's not moving as fast because you don't see the same kind of crevassing.
You mean when the middle moves faster than the sides, it causes crevasses?
That's correct. That's correct.
Crevasses are like rapids or white water in a river.
Exactly. That's a good analogy. Where the ice is moving faster, it looks rougher, crevassed, just like it would rapids in a river that was flowing between the same mountains.
How do you define the edges of the glacier?
Okay, a glacier is any place where confined ice is moving.
The mountains are sort of the boundaries of the glaciers?
Yes.
And the glaciers flow between the mountains?
That's correct. That's how the ice from the polar plateau moves down onto the Ross Ice Shelf. It comes through the mountains. We're going to pop across the Beardmore Glacier, which is the largest glacier in the world, if I'm not mistaken. This is the glacier that Robert Scott's party walked up to get from the Ross Ice Shelf to the polar plateau.
And how slow does it move?
This probably moves more than a meter an hour. You can stand out on it and actually hear it move. Hear it crack and pop as it moves.
Once we're over the mountains, we've reached the polar plateau, and we're not far from the South Pole itself. All that you see is ice, and more ice. Then it's there, the runway, at the South Pole.
Everybody in the back will be beginning our descent here. Weather down at the South Pole today looks very clear. It's as cold as we briefed you earlier at -45. So it's been fun flying you guys, so we'll see you on deck.
It's as cold as they said, 45 degrees below zero. And it's summertime.
Hi, I'm Deborah Shapiro reporting to you from the South Pole. I'm standing on 9,200 feet of ice. That's a block of ice almost 2 miles thick. You know, 90% of the Earth's fresh water is all here in Antarctica, but it's all frozen into ice.
The research station at the South Pole is a small complex of buildings, some built under the ice. It's run by the United States. Only about 40 people live here during the summer, and fewer than 20 winter over. But the South Pole and the rest of Antarctica are not owned by any country. In fact, 16 countries have signed a treaty keeping Antarctica free from ownership and free for scientific research.
John, you know, I never was really sure whether there was actually a pole at the South Pole.
Well, there sure is, and there it is, and U.S. Geological Survey comes around every year and puts a new one in for us.
Why do they have to put a new one every year?
Well, because it moves, or at least from our standpoint it moves, because...
What do you mean, the South Pole is not in the same place all the time?
Well,
Really it is, but we live on this great big sheet of ice, you see, and the ice is moving like a big glacier.
Oh, so the metal pole that's in the ice moves over the real South Pole.
That's right.
So you got to move it back.
That's right, that's right. They do that once a year. That was done the end of last January.
But scientists don't come to the South Pole to watch the pole move. They come here to work. We're launching a balloon to measure ozone, a gas in the upper atmosphere. A thin layer of ozone protects the Earth from the sun's harmful rays. In some places, like Antarctica, this layer is getting thinner and more harmful rays are getting through.
It's ready now. You got the balloon.
I got
When
it.
I say go, you're gonna let go of the balloon, grab that towel, let it unravel.
Okay.
The balloon will go up, we'll start measuring the ozone.
Okay.
Okay, is everybody ready? You guys ready?
Yeah,
We're all ready. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
There she goes! Woo!
Information received from balloons helps scientists understand the complex reactions between ozone, sunlight, and man-made chemicals that attack the ozone.
How high does the balloon go?
This helium-filled balloon will go up to 25 miles high in the atmosphere.
When exactly is the sampling happening?
The sampling is happening all the time. There's an air pump inside the instrument that is pulling air into the instrument all the time. It is sampling the ozone and is sending that signal back down to the ground. On the ground here, the signal is being received by a tracking dish, and we can estimate the ozone very accurately.
This is just one experiment. Scientists around the world are trying to figure out how serious the ozone problem is and what to do about it. My time is up at the South Pole. For me, it's back to McMurdo. The South Pole is a place of cold beauty, almost a different planet from the one I know, but it's an important part of our world and an important place for science. It's surprising to think that scientists come to harsh and forbidding places to carry on research. Like the old explorers who came here before them, scientists carry on a tradition of discovery, learning new things about the world we live in. They are today's pioneers. "321 Contact" is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.